Today we're going to look at how we go about solving addition equations. So when we talk about addition equations, we're talking about an equation where we have a variable and we have something being added to that variable and equaling some other value. Okay. Now, you might look at this and say x plus 5 equals 23. And for those of you that are very good at mental math, you might think that, okay, well, x would have to equal 18. That's true. But what I would like you to focus on in this section is making sure that you're showing your steps in a particular fashion, because we're going to build up into an algebraic mode, an algebra mode, where it's going to be very important for you to be showing those steps. So we're going to start trying to get you showing them correctly at this level so that you'll be more successful later on. So how do we get 18? Well, what we're basically going to do is think about the equal sign as sort of a divider, as a dividing line. We have x plus 5 as the expression on the left and 23 as the expression on the right. Well, my goal is really to get this x all by itself. Well, what's being done to the x? You're adding 5. So what we're going to do is subtract 5 from both sides, because the golden rule is whatever you do to one side, you need to do to the other. So what ends up happening is the 5 minus 5 adds out to 0, and that leaves me with x all by itself. So just as a reminder, 5 minus 5 is equal to 0, which is why we don't write that. So I get x is going to equal whatever 23 minus 5 is, which in this case is 18. So x is going to be equal to 18. And I can check this by saying, what's 18 plus 5? So I'm going to plug the 18 back in for x, because since x equals 18, I get 18 plus 5, which is 23, and that does indeed equal 23, so that checks. This works out. So for those of you that like steps, let's go ahead and look at the steps. Sort of what I'm going to call the golden rule for solving equations is that whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. In a sense, you got to be fair. You got to think about it as like almost a balanced beam, where whatever you put on one side of the scale or the balance beam, you've got to include on the other to keep it balanced. Okay? And the goal is to get x, or the variable I should say, by itself. Okay? And we're going to use subtraction to undo the addition. Okay? So these are sort of our basic rules. Let's go ahead and take one look at one other example. Let's say I have 3 plus x is equal to 15. In a sense, 3 plus what is equal to 15? And you can think in your head what that answer would be. But let's show you the steps. Since it's 3 plus x, I'm going to subtract 3. Whatever I do to the left-hand side, I've also got to do to the right. So 3 minus 3 is 0, so it adds out, which leaves me with x. 15 minus 3 is 12. So I get x is equal to 12. Once again, I can check it and say, what does 3 plus 12 equal? It equals 15, so 15 equals 15, so my check works. So what I want you to focus on is making sure you're showing your steps like this. Okay, you will not receive full credit on quizzes and tests unless I see this work, because while I understand that you might be able to do this in your head, problems will get more complicated and these steps will be very important. So x equals 12 would be what's called my solution, because it's the value of x that makes this equation work. So looking forward to practicing the sum tomorrow.